Hi everybody, this is Steve Ludwig, host of Steve Ludwig's Classic Pop Culture and the Beatles Hour with Steve Ludwig, heard at planetludwig.com. Here's an interview we did with Evan Ginzburg, associate producer of The Wrestler, starring Mickey Rourke, on February 11th, 2014. It's show number 27. To hear the entire show, check out the menu at planetludwig.com. And now, please enjoy the interview. One of the iconic R&B songs, My Girl by the Temptations. Before that, we heard The Wrestler, Bruce Springsteen, and you all know why I play The Wrestler. What some of you may not know is our next guest is a big R&B fan. Welcome, Mr. Evan Ginzburg.
Hey, Steve. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you coming, and I want to tell everybody listening that you are, without a doubt, my mentor. I wouldn't have this radio show. I wouldn't have been able to promote my book. All these things if it weren't for you. So I want to thank you publicly.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. I really
do. Did I read that just as you wrote it for me, Evan? Or...
Yeah. The check is in the mail.
No, I'm kidding. That was totally from the heart. That's the truth. And thanks for everything, Evan. And I'm so glad I'm associated with you in so many ways. Now, we're going to talk about wrestling a little later. We're going to talk about, of course, Great Legends TV show and Legends Radio. But I thought what we'd do is first talk about your real love of R&B and your vast knowledge of music. First of all, how'd you become an R&B fan?
I was the only white kid on the block. That pretty much sums it up. I grew up in East Flatbush, Brooklyn. I wrote a book, Apartment 4B, like in Brooklyn, about my experiences on Lenox Road between Nostrand and Rogers during the turbulent 60s and 70s. And what emanated from our block was Motown and Stax and High Records with Al Green and Willie Mitchell and Syl Johnson and I absorbed it like a sponge, and and it was a very interesting period in music back then because all genres of music could appear on the very same bill or the very same radio show. Ironically, as America grew less segregated, the music industry seemingly has grown more, where today you have a jazz club or a blues club or a rock club. And back then, you could have the very same show and you'd have multiple acts of all different genres, and great music was great music. And I learned from Hollywood Frankie Crocker, the late legendary.
I loved Frankie Crocker.
Oh, awesome. That you could do a radio show with all different styles of music. And I've done that for many years. And I've also branched out with you to Legends TV, where, again, you could do an eclectic mix of all different arts on the very same show. And a well-rounded person, hopefully, would appreciate that. It doesn't have to be either or, one or the other.
Yeah, Evan, let's get back to the music in a second. Being you mentioned Legends TV, first of all, I want to mention legendsradio.net. Now, my goodness, why don't you tell those listeners, some of our listeners who might not know, that you actually started out, even before legendsradio.net, you were on the radio. You're over 20 years, 25 years in New York radio scene. Could you give us just a little background of how you started out in radio?
Absolutely. My radio mentor was Fred Giabold, who unfortunately passed about 8 years or so ago. And over at WBAI FM, Fred offered me a little spot every week, and it was 3 a.m, and I never imagined that people would actually listen or care, but you realized on a 50,000-watt New York station that people did listen and care. Mm-hmm. And ultimately, I got up the nerve to ask Fred, could I do more? And we would bring performance artists, wrestlers, writers, actors, comedians, musicians of every possible genre, rappers, up to the station 3 to 5 in the morning, and it was like a Fellini movie, and it was some of the best nights of my life. And when Fred passed a year or so later, I moved to internet radio, where I'm doing Legends Radio for close to 10 years with the very same engineer, Rick Hendrickson.
I'll bet that went fast, Evan, those 10 years
Yeah,
on internet.
yeah. Actually, your life goes fast. I once had a college professor say, "Think how fast the past 20 years have gone. That's how fast the next 20 years are going to go. So, whatever your age is, that equation works."
Yeah. Well, listen to this.
Yeah.
Now, okay, everybody, we're about to blow your minds. Here's how I heard it once explained to me, which is pretty much what your college professor said. A 1-year-old, when he or she becomes 2 years old, that second year, it's 50% of their life. So when you get to be in your 50s, each year is only like 1/50th of your life. So it seems shorter. Does that make any sense, or am I just freaking out? Okay, anyway, where were we?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
what I was saying was,
It does make sense, though.
yeah, if you think about it, people are going to sit up at 3 a.m, Evan, and say, "Oh yeah, that's what they were talking about." What I love, Evan, is first of all, thank you so much for allowing me to be part of the Legends TV show. What's great is that you have brought your idea, your eclectic feeling of presenting indie artists, major stars, all together on your Legends TV show. We're going to get back. We're going to listen to some of the things from Legends TV. But how long has the show been going on?
We just started in June of 2013, and it's been an interesting ride. For the most part, it's been a pleasure. But the adventure of doing something live, especially TV, is anything can and will go wrong on occasion. So when it works, it's exhilarating. When it doesn't work, it's devastating. And that's sort of the appeal of it. But the vast amount of shows, I would say, have worked, and in many cases worked extremely well. And I'm not tooting my own horn. It's because of these incredible artists that we've had on. And many of them have been on your show. If you want to tell the listeners about.
Well, I mean, I've had some of my heroes on my show. Tommy James has been, well, not on your show, but we've had Gary DiCarlo on your show. We've had Frank Jekyll from the 60s 1910 Fruit Gum Company. Gary DiCarlo, of course, from Steam. But what I was going to say, Evan, is that in a little bit, you mentioned when it works, it's heaven. We're going to listen to a couple performances in a little bit. But I do want to also give some props to the Madhouse TV crew, who make all this happen for us on Legends TV. I mean, they really, do some job for you on the TV show. And I
absolutely. And you're creating art on a budget, and when it works, I've watched some major network shows that millions upon millions of dollars are spent, and it's absolute crap. So when you do something on a shoestring and you manage to create art, it's very, very powerful.
Yeah, listeners, you know, each week we have the Legends TV, Legends Radio commercial. This is the man, Evan Ginzburg, that you hear each week. All right, Evan, I'm going to throw some, let's get back to a little music here. I'm going to throw some names at you of singers or groups that are not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and I'd like you to tell me if you think they should be or should not be, okay? All right. The MC5.
Very influential. I saw them at Summer Stage. They're great. And Wayne Kramer, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I can't say I have great expertise as far as them, but very influential. Very.
Well, that word influential, that's the big word, because I know the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, they base a lot of whom they allow in is if they are influential to anyone. So, I mean, based on that, we're going to say yes for the MC5?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Willie Nelson.
I don't know if I'd classify it as
Well,
rock and
yeah.
roll, but obviously, the
And if
guy,
we looked at the Rock
guy's
and Roll Hall of
worthy.
Fame as a general music
Yeah,
Hall of Fame,
absolutely. The guy's an
yeah,
icon.
yeah. How could he not be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? I mean, that's a big guess for me.
I guess they're looking at it as not being rock and roll. I
Yeah,
don't know,
yeah,
but
I suppose.
other than that, I mean, the guy's sold boatloads of records and he has a zillion fans. I mean, how could he not be?
There was a great line, by the way. Willie Nelson was on Bill Maher's show a couple Friday nights ago, and they were talking about the legalization of marijuana, and Bill Maher was giving the different stats about 16,000 people in the last year died of alcohol poisoning from alcohol, and not one person died from marijuana. And Willie Nelson said, well, actually, a friend of mine had a bale of marijuana fall on him and kill him. So technically, that is one death from, from marijuana. But
That's funny.
stylistics,
Oh, no
yes or no?
doubt. No doubt, of course. I'm going to go see them Saturday at the 70s Soul Jam. I never get tired of the Stylistics.
That's
Not only beautiful music, but music that's going to stand the test of time. I mean, just Make Up the Breakup, You Are Everything. It's just beautiful music. And they sold millions and millions of records. They've been out there 50 or so years. I mean, what more? And a great stage act. I mean, with the choreographed steps and yeah, how do you not put the Stylistics in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, I don't know if there are equal songs, but Break Up to Make Up, that has got to be one of the all-time, I mean, just great songs.
First you love me, then you hate me. That's a game for fools.
Yep.
Great.
Break Up to Make Up. It's a game. It's a game. It's such a great song. The lead singer of Simply Red, Mick Hucknall, if you ever get a chance, check him out he does a great cover. Not Stylistics, but he does a really nice cover of that song. It's on YouTube. The Spinners.
Of course, of course. The Spinners had over 20 million selling singles. Even a better stage act than the Stylistics. As far as stage choreography, as good as just about anybody in that genre, except for maybe the original Temptations. I mean, just one of the all-time great acts. They've been out there since the late 50s. One of the original Spinners is in his 70s, okay?
Oh, I didn't realize that. Wow,
Late
since the
50s,
late 50s.
Late 50s. Manhattans were out there since the late 50s. A lot of these groups started as doo-wop singers. Most of the Spinners are dead. I mean, they've been out there forever. So how do you not honor a group like that? And let me just add that Felipe Wynne, the former lead singer at their peak in the mid-70s, who passed away, died on stage, tragically. One of the greatest lead singers ever, Felipe Wynne. He moved on to P-Funk. He was on Not Just Knee Deep, Felipe Wynne, oh my God.
Speaking of lead singers, who's your favorite Temptation lead singer?
Well, David Ruffin, I would say, although Dennis Edwards a close second. Dennis Edwards with Psychedelic Shack and all those late 60s, classics. Those were great also. But David Ruffin just had this pure, beautiful voice and
velvet voice almost.
Yeah, and his solo albums were great. Check out Everything's Coming Up Love. What a beautiful album. Beautiful.
What about Africa Bambaataa?
No, he was one of the most influential hip hop icons out of the Bronx. He's one of the guys that started it all. I would definitely say Africa Bambaataa. He's still out there.
I'm going to put you on the spot, Evan. Who of the known names, who is one of your favorite hip hop artists or groups? I mean, you're such a well-rounded musicologist. Who do you like commercially? Because a lot of it's, I don't know, crap. There's a lot of crap. Thank you. Shit, crap. Anything works. I mean, there are a lot of great indie hip hop artists that we're going to talk about later on when we get to the TV show again. But who's one of the better known hip hop artists or groups that you like?
Well, what I lean to, of course, are the old school hip hop acts that actually had something to say. I think KRS-One is a genius. De La Soul, I loved. Dougie Fresh is one of the greatest entertainers you'll ever see. When I think commercial hip hop, I think guys like Little John, who I don't particularly appreciate, and guys who are selling mountains of records who don't always put out positive positive messages or images.
Yeah. Actually, we'll get back to this list in a second, being we brought it up. I've learned through your radio show, legendsradio.net, and especially the TV show, legendstv.net, of all the great indie artists out there, especially hip-hop, but all different indie artists. And it seems, you just hit on it too, that the indie hip-hop artists seem to be projecting a much more positive view of life. Do you find that yourself?
Well, look, yes, the scenario is this. I had a friend who was directing world-class hip-hop acts, and what would happen time after time after time is the director would say, listen, do we have to do the same video with the bling and the hot cars and the girls in bikinis and the pool, and can't we do something different? And the record companies would say, no, that's what sells. So basically they're selling this image, that's ad nauseum, repeated time and time again, because they're catering to a teenage audience that's what sells to them. And unfortunately, you have these brilliant indie hip hop artists. For example, Ill Spoken, who's going to be at the Blue Note Saturday night at midnight, because it's a very select crowd for intelligent, important indie hip hop. But what can I say? It's the commercial stuff is what it is. It's like anything else. I mean, if you put together a boy band, a pop band, I don't think they're going to do anything that's all that substantial either.
You just hit on something interesting too, and maybe we can segue into the documentary you're working on. I know you are an anti-ageism person. That there's so much talent out there, if I put that right. Why don't you tell us about the movie you're working on and your general thoughts on ageism in the entertainment business?
We are working on a documentary called The Stage is an Altar, and my last film was Teresa Sario Alive Again, featuring Gary Sinise, and previously, of course, I was associate producer on The Wrestler with Mickey Rourke. The Stage is an Altar is about indie musicians who, regardless of their age or musical genre, one, are great artists, two, are not giving up on their dream, and three, ultimately have, in some capacity, not gotten the recognition, respect, support of the record industry that they should. Why, pray tell? Well, what if you're a 30-year-old rapper? What if you're a 40-year-old rapper? What if you're a 40-year-old rocker? What if you're a 50-year-old rocker? Well, the geniuses behind the desks, who probably, ironically, are 30, 40, 50 also,
right, yeah.
They feel that the kids won't buy the music. So if they haven't made it by then, they won't make it by then. That's the attitude. I have pitched artists to major record labels, and what I've heard time and time again is we're looking for new artists that we can mold, that we can wean, like the Justin Biebers, from 13 to 22 years old. 13 to 22. Okay.
Unbelievable.
How much wisdom can a 13-year-old impart? How much experience can a 14 or 15-year-old impart? I mean, besides singing some cliche or, singing about something that they really can't sell because they're not convincing. You're 13, you're going to sing about heartbreak and
right, yeah.
I mean, failure and what are you going to sing about middle-age crisis? I mean,
exactly. And not only that, Evan. I mean, not that these producers care one way or the other, but when a 13 or 14-year-old star fades at 16 and they feel their life is over, can you imagine the mental anguish that poor teenager has to go through? That's something that doesn't even come into thought.
there's a laundry list of child stars that have overdosed, become prostitutes.
Yeah.
I'm not laughing at them.
No,
The absurdity of it. You just discard them like a pimp would their hoe. I mean, it's outrageous. It's outrageous, and there's actually support groups for ex-child stars who can't function. I mean, you're being idolized by millions of people. And then you can't get locked up. I mean, it's over.
Paul Peterson used to be on a show called the Donna Reed Show, and he had a hit in the 50s or 60s. He's a big advocate of that. Child stars being used and abused and things like that. Anyway, on to brighter things. We mentioned we're talking about ageism and things like that. I think it's a perfect time, Evan. Why don't we listen to one of the great performances? There's been so many great performances from your Legends TV show, but I chose a couple tonight. One I'd like to play is by a gentleman named Solomon Witherspoon and his group, and he's introed by Carlton J. Smith. So let's work backwards. Could you tell our listeners about Carlton J. Smith, first of all?
Absolutely. Carlton is a perfect example. Carlton was a New York-based R&B singer, leaned on James Brown and Jackie Wilson and Al Green and Marvin Gaye and Smokey and all the greats, who gets on stage, looks impeccable, dressed sharp. He's very old school, and he's not a kid. He's 50-ish. I don't even know his exact age. Okay, so Carlton is, like most musicians, as great as he is, he's a great live showman. As great as he is, it's a struggle in his own hometown. He gets an opportunity in Shanghai, China, of all places, where he's a huge star. In Asia, his name and likeness are on billboards, okay, where he gets all kinds of publicity and TV appearances, and he's a major success story. And he had to travel literally to the other side of the world to make it. And again, it's about ageism. The music industry wasn't looking for somebody, who wasn't a kid, and it's very, very short-sighted. Amazing talent.
I should have done my homework, Evan, but if you can check legendstv.net, the archives, you did a great interview with Carlton J. Smith, and as a matter of fact, that's the show I chose to spotlight a guy named Solomon Witherspoon. Carlton J. Smith intros Solomon. Tell us a little bit about Solomon Witherspoon, and then we're going to listen to a great, great song.
Yes, Solomon is based out of the Midwest, and he's also not a kid. I don't know his exact age. I would say mid-30s, and a tremendous R&B performer and songwriter, and great stage act, and lives and breathes the art form of R&B, and hip-hop has sort of pushed R&B to the side, but guys like Solomon are keeping the flame alive. And if you ever get a chance to see this episode of Legends TV with Carlton J. Smith and Solomon Witherspoon, it's easily one of the very best shows that we've done up to this point. Just tremendous performers and charismatic, and you're about to hear it, folks. So when you get a chance, go to legendstv.net and check out the archive and see it as well.
And here's a little teaser, everybody. Listen to this fantastic song, introed by Carlton J. Smith, Solomon Witherspoon.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Carlton J. Smith, and right about now, it is star time. I said it's star time. I'd like to bring you all the way from Minneapolis, the one, the only, my man, Solomon Witherspoon.
Yes. My man. Thank you, sir. Oh, yeah. Said, oh. It's like this, y'all. I told you from the start, you mean everything to me, my dear, and everything you say My universe rotates around the sun, up and down, round and round. Our lives just begun. If anybody asks where you got that shine, tell them you are mine, oh mine. Think you might walk the world, grant you a star, just so you can shine wherever you are. Come on, y'all. It would be, oh, my pleasure to shed light of love, oh, my love. Ooh, it would be, oh, my pleasure to share this life of love. Jay Smooth, oh my love. Hey y'all, let's break it down. Let's give us some of that Minnesota. Lay back. Thank you, I appreciate that.
Now, everybody, if that doesn't make you want to check out legendcv.net right now, the archives, that is almost a perfect song, Evan. I mean, the delivery was great. And again, we mentioned it before, Madhouse TV crew, a lot of props to them. They do all the sound for you and things like that. But this is a perfect example of what you present. I would have never known about Solomon Witherspoon if it weren't for your TV show. And you do this all the time, Evan.
And Alicia Beth Stern and Chris Melendez turned me on to Solomon, and they're also very strong supporters of the indie music scene. And I know they've been on your show as well. So
yeah, they're great people.
And they're a perfect example of two people that aren't kids and, have big dreams, and they're out doing it. And you're never too old to dream. You're never too old to try something new, although I'm most likely not going to be playing on the New York Yankees. There are other things that...
Don't give up, Evan. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah. Ageism is a terrible thing. Terrible thing.
Yeah. And especially the fact, I mean, My goodness, people are living easily into their 80s and even 90s and still having something to offer to society.
No doubt,
But,
no
yeah.
doubt. And until the day I die, I'd like to be doing radio and TV and writing books and making movies and etc. so on because I don't see any reason to stop. It's once you stop dreaming and creating, I mean, what's the point? What are you going to do? Watch Maury Povich to see who the dad is every day of your
Right.
life? It's
Mhm.
create your own art.
We're talking with Evan Ginzburg, everybody, author, actor, producer, radio host, TV host. Talk about a Renaissance man. He is with us right now. And you can catch Evan's TV show, legendstv.net, every Saturday live at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Co-hosted by Steve Ludwig. He's very humble.
Oh, that bum is there too, huh? Yeah, a couple times in a month. I mean, how happy and how proud am I to be a part of Evan's show. You can catch it on legendstv.net or madhousetv.com. And every Wednesday night, hear the award-winning Legends Radio at legendsradio.net from 7 to 9:20. How do you guys fill 2.5 hours every week? You do, but my gosh. You had guys talk about an eclectic mix. I'm going to put you on the spot, Evan. Do you know who's going to be on tomorrow or on the radio show? Actually, Rick should know that. We're going to put it on Rick.
If you give me a second, it'll come to me.
All right.
Yeah, truth be told, Steve, I never know who's on anybody's show, including this one, until you tell me their phone number and say, this is who's on the show. So,
Well, Evan, tonight I told
I know. I can tell you exactly who's going to be on the show.
Go, Evan.
Who is it going to
be? Indie rap, great, ill-spoken, indie wrestler, Jason Gotti, and Joe Eckert. That's going to be quite a mix.
That's the eclectic nature. And I'll tell you, anything can happen on Evan's radio show. And our engineer here, Rick Hendrickson, many times offers his unique take on things. We're going to bring Rick in here in a couple of minutes, but I do want everybody to know, too, you mentioned it earlier, Evan, your book, Apartment 4B, like in Brooklyn. First of all, how can people get that? It's a great book. I read it. Oh, man, it is such it takes you right. I didn't grow up in Brooklyn. I'm a Jersey boy, but it's as if I grew up in your neighborhood, Evan. You're so descriptive in the whole book.
Thank you. And if you like classic pop culture, and I'm sure your listeners do, we talk about kung fu movies, hammer horror, pro wrestling, Bruce Lee, kung fu flicks, Lee Van Cleef, spaghetti westerns, etc., so on. So it's all in there. Growing up a child of the '60s and '70s.
How can we get the book?
If you go to legendsradio.net and click on the store, that's probably the easiest.
You've also written a book based on your dad's recollections. Hey, Cabby, why don't you tell us about that?
Sure. My dad drove a New York City taxi for 27 years, and he picked up Marilyn Monroe, Judy Garland, Muhammad Ali, Richard Nixon, superstar Billy Graham, Haystacks Calhoun, 600-pound wrestler, hold-up men, pimps, hookers, etc., so on. It was quite a wild ride, literally, figuratively, and he would come home and tell all of these amazing stories about the passengers. And when he was dying, we wanted to preserve these incredible stories, and basically we recorded it on his deathbed. And we ultimately published it in a little book of couple dozen wild stories, and that's called Hey Cabby. And there are Facebook pages for both if you want to look Apartment 4B like in Brooklyn and Hey Cabby, but both are available at the legendstv.net store.
What's your dad's first name, Evan?
Arthur S. Ginzburg.
Arthur S. Ginsburg. And
I'm really the editor. I mean, those are his stories.
Yeah. But as a kid, I mean, you must have loved hearing those stories from your dad. Do you remember, like, him just coming home and, listen, you're not going to believe what happened today. Even if it weren't a star, your dad must have had some stories.
Well, basically, he would come home every night and we would wait for his stories because it was always colorful, and he was a great storyteller. And it wasn't like he was exaggerating or anything. I mentioned Jackie Onassis. He said to me that Jackie Onassis told him that if you had the time, the money, and the energy, you could go out every night of your life in New York City and do something different. That she just loved New York, and so did my dad, and so do I. And he picked up Marilyn Monroe and told us how sad she was, that she was so sad that he didn't even want to bother her for an autograph. And he picked up Judy Garland, and he said that she looked so awful that she would be dead within a year, and she was dead 6 months later. I'll never forget it because she was a huge star, and I was a kid at the time. She died like 1967, I believe, something like that.
Yeah, so that sounds about right.
Late 60s she died. I was a kid, so...
And these stories are all, edited from your dad's own words in Hey Cabby. It's both books, Apartment 4B Like in Brooklyn and Hey Cabby. Go to legendsradio.net. Order them, everybody. They are such great books. And they're such great reads, too. It's the type of book that, like Apartment 4B, Evan, I couldn't wait to turn and find out what other adventure you got yourself in there. Just really, really good books.
A misadventure. Thank you.
Misadventure is more like it, yeah.
And everybody should read Steve CU and CCU as well. If anybody can make getting your chest chopped open and having open heart surgery funny, they deserve your support.
And you read that just as I wrote it to you, Evan. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
I'm being sincere.
Now, our listeners would hate me if I didn't spend a couple of minutes talking to you about The Wrestler, starring Mickey Rourke, that you played such an important role in developing the movie with getting the wrestlers and all. You're associate producer of The Wrestler, starring Mickey Rourke. I mean, the film is going to go down as one of the all-time greats. Years and 100 years from now, people are going to look at The Wrestler and say, wow. And why don't you tell our listeners the very important part you played in that movie? Not the role on screen, I mean what you did behind the scenes.
Sure. Basically, I was the wrestling guy. I brought in the majority of the wrestlers. I did 6 casting calls for Darren Aronofsky. I brought in the Necro Butcher, who was in that brutal hardcore match.
Wow, what a scene.
I brought in Mickey's trainer, who was Alpha the Wild Samoan, etc. so on. Basically, I guided them on the wrestling end of things.
Which was such an important part of the makeup of the movie. I mean,
thank you. It was one of the great experiences of my life, and I actually acted it with Mickey. And
tell us about that.
Yeah, that was a wild experience. I'm on the set, just hanging out and watching one day, and Darren gets this smirk, and he says, "Evan, come here." And I'm like, "Sure." Next thing I know, he goes, "Evan, I want you to work the room." This was the autograph scene, that very sad autograph scene where there's like nobody there, and Johnny Valiant's falling asleep at the table, and it's kind of grim. And he goes, "Evan, work the room, go up to Mickey last, ask him for an autograph and a Polaroid picture." And the second director comes over with the script, and all the script says is "thank you." I mean, that's it. So Mickey whispers in my ear, he goes, "just improv it." He thinks I'm an actor. Okay? He has no idea I'm not an actor.
You are an actor. You've been in movies.
Well, at that point I hadn't. So anyway, so I do exactly as I'm told. I'm talking to the various people in the scene, and then I go up to Mickey last, and his character's name, of course, is Randy the Ram Robinson. So I go, "Randy, I loved you as a kid. I saw you at the Garden. I'm just improvising it." So Mickey looks at me and he says, "What's your name?" And I'm thinking for a second because there's no script, and I go, "Evan." So I'm playing myself in a fictional movie. It's absolutely surreal. He goes, "How do you spell it?" And I go, EVAN. So if you ever see the scene again, it's totally improv, and I am playing myself in a fictional film. It's the most bizarre thing. It's like you have a higher chance of hitting lotto or getting hit by a lightning bolt than acting with an Academy Award nominee in your first film, playing yourself on top of it. So it was a great experience. And
Were you nervous, Evan? Were you nervous?
I was very nervous. There were 125 or so people, and these giant cameras in your face. And Johnny Valiant said to me, Evan, your hand was actually shaking. And I said, well, that's good, because I was supposed to be a nervous fan approaching my idol. So, basically, it worked. It worked. And Darren runs over, and he starts pounding me on the chest. He's going, that was great. That was great. And I'm like, we just improv the whole thing. It was really something. And after that, ironically, I actually got asked to do acting in various indie films. So not that I'm, heavily pursuing it or anything. I don't, but it's fun. I enjoy doing it.
What are some of the films we can see you in, like indie films?
I've done various shorts, and they haven't really gotten mainstream. Story about Ian was one of them, and I really do love the process. In this one film, my daughter gets knocked up, and I'm supposed to get, furious at her because I'm like I'm playing an old school Italian, and I'm talking in Italian. Ironically, I was taught phonetically by the director. And how did I manage to get up this rage? I started to think about some of my friends who had died in real life, who had actually died, and I guess what was interesting about it all was, on the one hand, I have a lot of respect for actors because I firsthand have experienced what's involved. And on the other hand, I'm like, it's not all that difficult. It's like, it's like you see various actors, and they're tortured souls, and I'm like, dude, you're 30 years old. You're making millions of dollars. You do what you love. The women are chasing you. It's like it's not all that bad. Lighten up. It's not all that bad. So it's an experience. It is an experience. Life is really it's almost surreal sometimes. If you're out there doing things, one thing always leads to another, for better or for worse, and you have to say yes more than you say no. Because if you say yes, like even with the TV show, I've done radio since 1991. I never thought of myself, one day I want a TV show. It never crossed my mind. And then the opportunity presented itself. And again, for the most part, when it goes well, and most of the time it does, I love doing it. I really love doing it.
I mean, you can't say enough about networking. I mean, just a little word or two here or there, or a sentence to someone could lead to something else. It's so true. I mean, that's some great advice that you've just given to people.
And I'll tell you another thing for the people in the arts who are listening. If somebody approaches you and you don't have a sample of your work, if you don't have a business card, if you don't have a headshot, whatever the case may be, immediately the person, such as myself, goes from, wow, I thought this was an artist, but it's just a kid, and you don't want that to happen. I mean, at bare minimum, come on, invest in a couple of hundred business cards. I mean, don't be penny wise and pound foolish.
All right, Rick, are you there?
Yes.
All right, we are now going to ask our engineer, Rick, to enter the conversation, because you guys are certainly more expert at this than I. I grew up loving the WWF, 3 W's and an F at the time, but how do we fix the mess that the WWE has become? Evan, I'm going to throw it to you first. Is there a way?
Well, it's really whether or not they're willing to listen to the fans, such as Rick and myself, who deeply love and respect the art form that is professional wrestling when it's done right. There are guys who wrestle. There are guys who are not buffoons. There are guys who wrestle and the fans love them, like a Daniel Bryan, like The Shield, like Antonio Cesaro, etc., so on. So basically it's a matter of, rather than pushing the corporate decision, we want this guy on top, we want that guy on top, why not actually listen to the fans? Who's getting the best reaction? Who's the most, we say, over as in popular? And, go with listen to your fans. Listen to the heart of your business. What do you think, Rick?
I think they need to discover the fountain of youth. Because, with me, I always look at the guys that were there 15 years ago as the best guys. Yeah, but, as the best guys that I ever saw. And then, with Evan, he's, unfortunately a little older than I am. And he's talking about, Bruno Sammartino and guys like that who were there 15 years before that. So, what's happened in the last 15 years is they have not developed any stars. And unfortunately, and I think Evan agrees with me, I don't think Randy Orton and John Cena are stars. I mean, John Cena maybe more so is a star than Randy Orton, but if that's all they have and that's what they think is going to make them their money, they're ain't gonna, I don't know.
I remember it used to be an event when the belt changed hands, when the championship belt changed hands. Now it's meaningless as far. I mean, I'm even more of an outsider than I am more of an outsider than you guys. But do you guys agree?
I'm kind of glad that they have one belt again, but when they had two belts, it was ridiculous. And they changed the belt too often. But not too long ago, Punk had the belt for a year and a half or something.
Yeah,
something
he's
like
great,
that.
CM Punk.
Yeah, he went home. Why?
Yeah.
Why?
You think
Because
Vince
he's not
McMahon would ever
headlining.
listen to the fans, guys?
Vince, oh yeah. I think that I'm probably one of the only people who thinks that Daniel Bryan's going to headline WrestleMania this year. So maybe I'm wrong, but I think he'll be in the main event of WrestleMania this year.
What do you think, Evan?
So.
You think Vince McMahon would ever? You think he listens to the fans?
I think Vince listens to money. If he smells money, he's going to go with it. Whenever you heard somebody was his enemy, ultimately they ended up coming back and wrestling for him.
Here's your money.
Yeah, it's all about money. He's no dummy. I think if he feels Daniel Bryan would actually sell a mountain of tickets, he would give him a shot. And this could just be a very, very long super build-up because
might be.
Because a smaller guy like Daniel Bryan isn't what they usually go with. It's not what Vince, you have to understand, was weaned under his dad, who always went with the super heavyweights who would wrestle Bruno or Pedro, because Bruno and Pedro, in their own right, were looked at as superheroes. So, you had to bring in a Don Leo Jonathan, a Gorilla Monsoon, a Bill Watts, a Waldo Von Erich, a Ernie Ladd, Superstar Billy Graham. You had to bring in these huge monster heels who towered over them generally, and to give them any kind of fighting chance. And when the smoke cleared, this is what Vince Jr. was brought up on. So it's very hard to go, okay, let's go with the 5'8" guy. It's not what he's used to.
Yeah. Well, I think that Evan and I have talked about this before, but I think that when Vince either retires or more likely dies, that it's going to take it's either going to take a really good turn for the better, or it's going to take a really good turn for the big turn for the worse. And that's going to come soon. Yeah, I know people don't like to hear that, but the guy is old. He's done a bunch of steroids. It's going to come sooner than people think.
It seems Triple H is a fan of old school wrestling, or at least he gets it. Do you think he gets it more than Vince?
Well, he was with Kowalski forever. I mean, and Kowalski is, in my opinion, the best wrestling trainer of all time, and if not one of the best wrestlers of all time. So I mean, that is what you see in these matches where they put, a lot of the show is talking, but when you see the matches with Cesaro and you see the matches with Daniel Bryan that they give 20 and 25 minutes, I can almost guarantee you that is Triple H is doing. Because he appreciates it. But, you got to make money. You got to make money, too. So
now that we've solved the WWE problem.
Solved it.
Yeah. In 10 minutes.
In 10 minutes. See, what is their problem? Just let them listen to the fans, damn it.
Listen to Evan and Rick.
Listen to Evan and Rick. You would have been a billionaire by now, not a millionaire.
Well, before we say goodbye, Evan, I want to, again, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for all you've done for me. I really, really, really appreciate it. And, I hope that many years that we'll be associated with each other. Again, legendstv.net, legendsradio.net. And I thought a great way to go out, Evan, would be another showcase of your Legends TV show. It was tough, because we've had so many great musical acts on here, but I chose Cooley High and Edwin Vasquez Musica with Alpha Halverson, James Grover, and Peter Dunphy, and Edwin Vasquez. Why don't you tell us a little bit about Cooley High, and then we'll listen to this amazing song.
Cooley High does a radio show called Cognac Time with Cooley High on Bonfire Radio. He's a martial artist. He's a rapper. He's a producer. He's a true Renaissance man, and he's the kind of guy I like to surround myself with: supportive, talented, creative, a friend, and just tremendous. And I just like to briefly thank Steve as well. Steve is one of the most caring, supportive people I've ever met, and as indicated by the fact that during the Beatles 50th anniversary celebration, every time you see Ringo's drums, Ringo puts Steve's name on the drum. Have you noticed this?
That is nice of Ringo to.
It says Ludwig on it, so Ringo thinks the same as I do.
Yeah, thanks, Ringo.
So
Ringo
you do realize, Steve, that somebody's going to take that literally.
Good. Send me the money, please, for the Ludwig drums.
Yeah, I'm joking, folks. But yeah, so no, seriously, Steve is one of these rare people who's a team player, and he loves the arts, and there's a lot of egos in the arts, a lot of it's like anything else. It's a blessing and a curse, but Steve's one of the blessings, believe me.
Thanks, Evan. I really appreciate it very much.
Absolutely, I'm sincere. So thank you for all you do, also, and. None of us are getting rich from any of this, but you get richer from the experiences and the good people that you meet, and Rick included. Rick's a good guy. Rick's one of the rare people I'll let into my home, and Rick's okay.
I mean, it's the fact that half the things are missing when Rick leaves. I mean, but that's another thing anyway.
I always leave things behind.
That's true. Yeah,
that's true. I find like all kinds of like wires and electrical stuff. What the hell is this? Rick was here.
Rick has been here. Okay. Yeah. All right, Evan. Thanks again. We're going to listen to Cooley High, Edwin Vasquez, Musica. And again, Evan, thanks so much. And everybody, let's really get into this Cooley High. It is a great example of Legends TV. Thanks again, Evan.
Thank you, Steve.
Okay, bye.
Little faster. A little bit faster. Yeah, I want to make this nice and groovy. Yeah. Yeah. You moving now. We got the pedal to the metal right now. Picking up the pace for your face. Yes, indeed. We got what you need for your minds, bodies, and eardrums. So come on over and get some. In case you didn't know who I am, I will dictate it for you. There were so many words. Yeah, ready? Y'all know what it is. Evan, you know what it is. Steve, you know what it is. So when you get the cue, you know what to say. I'm from Brooklyn, baby. Don't forget the gravy. Otherwise, I'll leave the joint hot like Hades. Baby, I'll leave it cold like the pole ticket. Hit you with the greatest stories told like a through but rather charismatic. Don't want the beats in the vocal apparatus. 20,000 leads when it comes to the thought. Did a little dirt, but I never got caught with that serious, imperious sound. Cognac, give a cup is how I get down. Ignite treason for the brain on E. C does it when you do that, please. If you still trying to understand why people simply call me Cooley. I'm Cooley, I'm Cooley, I'm Cooley High. How you doing? What to do on the freezer? Cooley High rock joints on the freezer. Yes, y'all, I'm a chick pleaser. But every once in a while I get infantile with the language. Come through like a sandwich, meat in the middle. In the middle. On the plate one time. Cooley High rock joint freezer from the mind. Yes, y'all, you don't understand the kind of the joints that I'm kicking. One time I'm splitting like a chicken. Finger licking good in the hood. What's necessary should be the joint that you learn. Cooley High be rocking this joint in straight burn. On the record, on the track, yo. Come through with the ill type of fact. So if you still trying to figure out who I am, yo, just ask. I'm Cooley, 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 Cooley. Yes, you know what I'm saying? Cooley High on track and no delaying. One time on the mic is no playing. Yes, y'all, we be dragon slaying. On the record, come through while I'm smacking. Cooley High be rocking this joint, it's no whack. Type lyrics, come through while I'm shaking. Rattling the bones, steps, and spirits that I be drinking, thinking about the next line sinking. The river, come through out the river. Rupturing livers, like straight up liquor going down the drain. Coolie, I be rocking this joint. Slipping down the drain like Drano, oh no. Coolie, I be rocking this ill type promo, freestyle flow, yo. Yes, y'all, you don't want to stall like a Berlin airplane boy. Fall out the sky, you wondering why. C-double-O-L-E to the high. Yes, y'all, you know what I'm saying. Coolie high on the mic, there's no plan. Ludwig, Ginzburg, yo, what's the word? Stephen Ludwig, yo, what's the deal? Coolie high rock joint, I feel. I'm feeling good in the hood. Deer Park, yo, Bad House TV, 1, 2, 3, E. You see me on the microphone. I chill it like I own it, and I go sip Corona. In the middle of the bar, Coolie high rock joint, and I'm going bad far. I go on a course and I play above par. Coolie high be rocking the joint and hardy hard. That means I get my life on constantly. Coolie high rock joint so viciously, like what they said back in the day. Coolie high be rocking this joint, I don't play. Every once in a while I come through with that ill type of lyrical come through. 1, 2, 3, 4. What is this coming through your front door with the ill type of lyrical and raw? Style like sushi. If you come close, you better not lose me. Because you want the whole Coolie high rock joint, cause I keep it cold. If you still trying to figure out who I am, yo, just ask. I'm cooling, I'm cooling, I'm cooling, I'm cooling, yeah. For those who don't know, that was a freestyle. Freestyle. For every MC in the business of rap, it is a prerequisite. It is imperative to know how to freestyle flow when you forget your lyrics for a song. Yes, I keep it real with you. But was that all right? That's all right. That's all right. Give it up to the band, y'all. The band is rocking, man, rocking, keeping it groovy. Woo! And big up to Bruce Lee for paving the way for a lot of us martial artists. Big up to Jim Kelly. Jim Kelly was that man of cinema. Big up to Jim Kelly, who just recently passed away. Another dope martial artist. Big up to Madhouse TV for allowing us to do our thing here in his house. What is happening, Tom? What's happening, baby? I see you on the controls. Yeah, man. So we got 3 more minutes, 2 more minutes. One time, yo, and I'm sitting on the Guinness to get my strength from, cause I'm man tired. Come through, yo, when I get a little wired. After I sip my coffee, Bustelo. Come through, man, I keep sitting on mellow. On the track, yo, coming like that. Coolie high rocks the joint and bring it back. Not from the front, you cunt. Coolie high be rocking the joint and straight front off the football field. So, yo, what's the deal? Yo, I keep sitting real left on me like bologna. Yes, I don't eat that, but yo, one time, yo, I ate it. That in a Chinese restaurant, that bad racist. But yo, every time I staircase this, the ill realities of living in the hood, yo. Fallacies, they can teach it on the TV screen. Coolie high rocking the joint and keep green. Shirts on my back, one time it's like, but I keep it in the back of the pocket. Don't knock it, Coolie high be making the dreams out of socket. Plug it in, baby, plug it in, baby, plug it in, baby. 1 more minute and we plug it in, baby. 1 more minute and we plug it in, baby. Everything baskets, plug it in, baby. Edmund Ginzburg, plug it in, baby. Bad House TV, plug it in, baby. Plug it in, baby. So it smell fresh and clean. Plug it in, baby. So it smell fresh and clean. Thank y'all so much. My name is Coolie High. This is a great episode of Legends TV. And we taking it on out. Peace and love, y'all.